against the electric car. There's always like this mean person, you know? They, the oil industry. I mean, like this huge conglomerate of people that are together and that are discussing things and that make big decisions. Do they really exist? Well, that is not really our thing, but we're still gonna go there. We're still gonna talk about like the oil industry and electric vehicles and what kind of happened there. Why is there oil and why is there electricity, and why do we have ICE cars now? Because our podcast has been, well, attracting new people. Yes. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in. This people. All these people. Thank you so much for being there. Bringing your friends, your family, and anybody else who loves electric vehicles. I mean, this allows us to dive deeper into most of these amazing subjects, and well, your knowledge or your lack of knowledge, much like sometime mine, well, makes it so that we can have a discussion around all of these subjects related to electric vehicles, related to oil, gasoline, hydrogen, whatever, doesn't matter, as long as we're all here together in this beautiful community that is located on our YouTube channel, Two Girls One Electric Car. Yeah. The podcast is broadcasted live at 12 p.m. Vancouver time, every single day. If you miss it, you can always go to the podcast playlist. Yes, that is located on our channel, to make sure that you listen to it while you wait. While you wait for your EV to charge, or while you wait for your friends to be ready to party. Now we have Dave Frank, who's already there. Hey Dave, what's up? We had Arthur Morrison, who says this should be interesting. Oh yeah, most certainly. Walter Johnson's like really opens the ball and says oil versus electric. I pick electric, no spills on the ground. Well, yeah, we've all seen these little chocolate ducks, right? They were everywhere. So we had a few oil spills for sure in the history of mankind. And then, well, that was really good for actual dishwasher soap. Dishwashing soap made like a big comeback. I mean, Dawn still has them little ducks on their literal dishwashing soap. This is still there. This is like the real thing, people. And well, that kind of does it. Attempt my sarcasm again. Yes, Dave, sarcasm is really great. We need a little bit of sarcasm in life, that's for sure. We just need to keep clear of the YouTube community guidelines. Because they're there. And sometimes, well, we don't want to go overboard. Okay, since everybody's here, and, well, it is Thursday at the time of this recording, and since, well, it's Thursday, we're talking about oil. Don't drink oil, people. Don't drink oil. But gas cars do kind of drink oil. Yeah, you need to lube them up. You need to fill them up with oil. You also have all these derivatives. Meaning petroleum makes a whole bunch of things. Not just Vaseline, people. Not just Vaseline. It also makes gasoline. It makes, doesn't it make like propane? It makes everything. All of this makes everything all the time, which is fascinating. So that being said, the oil industry was there during the time where the actual electric vehicle was invented. It was kind of happening all at the same time. Now, you could argue that why don't we have cars that are powered by other things? Like, let's say, perfume. Or maybe even, I don't know, whale fat. Just like the candles in the olden days. Yeah, that was a thing. Whale fat.
Whale fat?
Yeah, whale fat. You need to power all of these like candles.
So you have to kill the whales?
Yeah. Where do you think Moby Dick comes from?
Oh my god, that's horrible. That's definitely not eco-friendly.
No, definitely not eco-friendly. So the thing is, well, they would harvest all of this like fat from the whales to make, well, everything that was light back then, because there was no electricity. So you needed all of this like oily fat to make sure that your candles in your house could stay lit all night long or all day long.
Oh, that's like lighting your candles, but the whales weren't lit.
No, whales were definitely not lit.
Yeah.
that did not go well for the whales. But then we kind of decided, that it was not such a good idea, maybe, to go with the whales that way and like do candles. And then some great guy invented electricity. Yeah, that kind of happened. Electricity happened. And then, well, of course, all of our houses, or, well, most of our houses, except for that cabin in the wood, well, they're electrified, meaning that we have access to all this electricity now. Some people could say that yes, we still use fire and some people still use candlelight. But quite frankly, when you have a real light bulb, a candlelight is kind of, it's kind of just chill for like a romantic dinner, right? Maybe don't want to light your house like that. Plus, fire hazard, which is really dangerous. Your electricity is way better now. We have Hack of All Trades who just dropped in. Hey, Hack of All Trades, thanks for being there. Oh, yeah. Okay, that being said, well, then after the electricity, or kind of sort of, well, when this all happened, we had also the oil, so petroleum. Yeah, we discovered some really old dinosaur juice. That was amazing. That made it so that like a lot of people got super rich. And then that made it so that we kind of converted this petroleum, this like really brown, gross textured thing, into something that could make energy, like produce energy. Okay, you were probably not there. I was probably not there either, but don't worry. I mean, we can still talk about it. So the oil industry's plot against the electric car. This is what we're talking about in this podcast. While you wait for your EV to charge, or while you wait for your date to be ready. Make sure that you tune into the podcast because you can listen to it or watch it in the video format on the YouTube channel Two Girls One Electric Car. This shall be very fascinating. Let's start with a poll. Do you think the oil industry like literally made sure that the electric car was not up and running like that fast? So do you think the oil industry... Yeah, it's all good? Yeah, okay, cool. Are we using... No, we're not using killed, right? This is so... Okay. Do you think the oil industry plotted against the electric car? Let's say yes, no. We're not going there. We're not going there. Okay, I am Piper and I am with
Sai.
Yes, my super awesome researcher. We are here to discuss the oil industry's plot against electric cars. Great, Dave, that you're taking your socks off. I mean, you can definitely feel good. Make yourself ready for this hour and a half of pure EV entertainment. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so that being said, the automotive industry started in, well, the ICE vehicles. It started with gasoline. That's what happened. The first automobiles, okay, there was electricity, but if we're talking about like the Ford Model T, okay, let's go there before we go anywhere else. Those were gas vehicles. Yeah, they were. So all of the automotive industry has always been based on gasoline vehicles, on motors, yeah, ICE motors, internal combustion engines. If you like that, well, make sure that you drop a comment. Make sure that you tell us about it. So for years and years, I mean, when was the first car invented, Sai? Was
First
it like,
car?
Like 18 something? In the 1800s, I think? Like the first car that actually worked? I think it was the Mercedes. Mercedes invented the first ever automobile, as they call it. And that must have been like really in that olden time.
1886.
1886?
The Benz.
Ooh.
Carl Benz invented the Benz motor wagon.
Okay.
It was a three-wheeler. And it was powered by just a single cylinder of gasoline engine.
See, you have it. So that was in 1886 that this all happened?
1886, yeah.
1886 that this all happened. So we are now in 2024. How much does that make? You have a calculator on there?
Oh, yeah.
No, the iPad does not have a calculator for some weird reason. I'm going to use my watch. So if we go 2024 minus, bam, 1886, people, we've had cars for 138 years. At the time of this record, imagine this. We'd have had gas vehicles for 138 years. That is multiple generations. I mean, even my grandma did not live this long. This is like crazy. So it kind of was the norm. It has been the norm for so many people. Some people were born and died, and all that they ever knew was the gas vehicle.
But there were like experiments before with steam powered and electric vehicles.
Oh, yes.
But those are not considered like the official cars. The official one is that Benz in 86, which was gasoline.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense because like we've all seen the steampunk scene. I mean, steam is really hot and it burns, but it doesn't burn right away. You know, steam just seeps in your body and it burns after. It's awful. You don't want a steam burn. It's the worst burn ever, from what I've experienced so far. Now, not looking to experience more though, right, Sai?
No.
Okay,
No,
great.
definitely
Thank you. We're not going there. But the thing is, so you have this like normal cars, which are all gasoline cars. And now for us that are alive right here, right now, we have this choice. This brand new choice that is not a horse. And that is to actually have a choice between a gas vehicle and an electric vehicle. And whose fault is that? Well, it's definitely Elon Musk's fault, right, Sai?
Definitely. He's to blame.
He's to blame because
For giving us a better choice, yeah.
if he would have invented steam cars, we would all be driving steam cars, right?
That's true. Yeah. That would be so steampunk of us. Yeah.
What if he invented, like we were talking about, hydrogen cars? He could have invented hydrogen
He
cars
could
too.
have. If it was sustainable, he would have. You
Yeah.
gotta think, right? Why didn't he? Like he said, he could have gone into that. But he went in electric because there's a future in the electric.
Yeah. And then, well, he could have gone solar, he could have gone nuclear. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways Elon Musk could have gone to, but he decided to go with electric. And that is probably one of the biggest reasons why we do have electric cars right now. Because Tesla is definitely up there on my list. Why? Because I'm Piper and I drive a Tesla Model X. And Sai, she rides next to me. Yeah, because she does not have a driver's license.
That's true. True facts.
So that works super good. We have Walter Johnson who says better choice is electric car. Can street? On street. Well, I hope you don't like. What do you mean? You go off road with your car? Is that what you mean? Well, some people like to do some a little bit of a off-roading, which is great. But you can definitely off-road with EVs now. I mean, Jeep has like this kind of EV. Yeah, the new Hummer. That we just saw this before the recording or the live of this podcast. While you wait to have the new Hummer completely electric, well, you can actually listen to our podcast. Great. So the thing is, yeah, Hummer is coming up with an electric one and not the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger converted. No. They're legit coming out with an electric Hummer. Now, from what we've seen, preferred the like beauty of the first ones. But, I mean, Hummer was based on a sort of tank vehicle, army military vehicle. That being said, it's like the new Defender a little bit. Yeah, so more like toy car kid type of thing, more like the Rivian. It's sleek, I mean, it's nice design, but it's not the Cybertruck. Unfortunately for people out there. So that being said, there was no competition. Why wasn't there no competition? Is it just because Elon Musk wasn't born yet? I mean, what happened there? Why didn't all these like automotive industry makers did not go to that? Because right now, even like some big names out there have electric, they have hybrid, and there's even a few hydrogen vehicles out there. Meaning that there's just not just gasoline anymore, and you can actually go somewhere and buy it. It's not like you need to make it out of your garage, which is really great because I don't have this engineering skills, right, Sai?
As far as I know, yeah, you don't. Yeah.
No, more like a YouTuber, right?
Yeah, more of a YouTuber, which is it works out better for me.
Yeah, and we could also test them, but I mean, we won't fabricate them.
No, definitely no fabrication here.
Okay, great. Good to know. Okay, cool. Electric Hummer. What year looking forward to those?
2025.
2025.
You can pre-order now.
Oh, you can pre-order now. So 2025, you can pre-order now. Thank you, Walter Johnson, for saying that. So that means that you have all of these choices, all these possibilities. But back then, they weren't choices or possibilities. Dun, 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 dun. Why? Why wasn't it like that? Was it really the oil industry that was like, you know what? I'm going to make sure that this does not happen. Unlike this podcast. They can't do nothing about this podcast. Nobody's going to cancel us. So make sure that you come and listen at 12 p.m. Vancouver time every single day to While You Wait, the podcast that brings you entertainment about electric vehicles and the future. Well, while you wait for something to happen or for something to charge, that also votes. Kyle, Carl, Piper, I messed up my vote. Oh, oh, too bad for you. Too bad for you. Too bad for you. Okay, well, you're gonna screw up the whole analytics and all that, but it's okay. I mean, it's just one vote. It should be fine. It's 1 out of 13, though. That's not fine. It's not fine, but it's all right. You can't retract your vote, right? YouTube is that way. Like, really like that way. So let's dive right in our first subject for this amazing podcast that talks about the oil industry's plot against electric vehicles. Auto industry dynamics. So meaning that if the first ever vehicle was legitimately kind of based in 1886. Well, it's not really the first big one, because we all know the mass-produced one was the Ford Model T, and that was a bit later, like in the beginning of the 1900s. So it took a while for people to kind of adopt cars, just cars in general. I mean, they were called killing machines. Sorry, you can look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So the thing is, since cars were new, well, there was no pedestrian zones. Yeah, no, that did not exist back in the beginning of the 1900s, or 1900, 1903, and all of that. So they were not used to vehicles being on the roads. So it crossed with horses and people walking and things like that. We're talking America, of course, North America, meaning that, well, we did not know what to do with them. So kids would drive. I mean, adults would drive. Then some people got literally like rolled over. That happened a lot.
I wonder if people yelled at the car owners, "Get a horse!"
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Get a horse.
That's definitely what happened, because we get yelled at in the comment section. Get a gas car.
Get a horse.
Yeah, get a horse. Get a horse. So those cars were like called killing machines.
Yeah,
Killing
exactly.
machines. A lot of people died.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
They weren't looking on every side of their street, because usually a horse is not going like that fast. You
No,
know?
the worst you can do is like poo,
Yeah, and then that's like
which is like, I don't know, do you want to die or do you have poo on you? I think I would die.
no poo for you.
No.
But then horses, they smell really bad. So I guess
they
like
do, yeah.
this is like you have the choice. Either you take the horse that smells bad, or you take
But it was
The gas
1886.
vehicles.
Everyone smelled bad back
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
So
it's
people
true.
also smelled bad then.
Yeah.
They invented the little tree thing, you know? That
Oh yeah, the little tree that you put on your car.
The horse
Yeah.
didn't have that.
No, the
Oh,
horses
that's
did not
true.
have the little tree. They did not. This was not a thing that the horse had. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the oil industry's plot against the electric car. And so we are going back in time to the beginning of the actual car, the gasoline car. How did it all happen? So that's where we're at right now. So what was like the auto industry dynamics when it all started? And let's bring it to right now, 2024.
Actually, the car fresheners, those three things,
Yeah.
they were invented in 1952 in response to a milk truck driver who said that, oh, it smells like milk. in the
Like the
So the
past
fir-
due milk?
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, the person was like, okay, I'll just like make something so the your truck smells nice. And that's how it started.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good story.
Story,
This is good story. Okay, so that's how the little trees were invented, and they're still there. I saw some at the convenience store the other day. I mean, they still exist, all these little trees. Do you have a little tree? Tell us, which is your favorite scent odor? Do you want like the cotton candy one? They have like crazy flavors now. You're not supposed to put that in your mouth, just so you know. This smells nice, but it does not taste nice.
You just cut a little bit or you remove the entire plastic.
Oh, yeah, some people do that. Yeah, do you just cut a little bit, or do you remove the entire plastic? Because it's
Oh.
really strong odor.
We need to make one podcast about access.
Yeah. Let's note this down, Sai. A
Got it.
podcast about like all these little pine trees.
Accessories.
Yeah, was it pine at the beginning? Probably it was only pine because it's a pine tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that smells good. We like that.
Now there's potpourri, but it's still a pine.
It's still a pine. Potpourri. There's a whole bunch of flavors. You can get like a grenadine. It doesn't matter. Sex on the beach. It's all good. It's just, they do everything now. Okay, so we're talking beginning of 1900s. These first cars came to be. They were starting to be everywhere. Then, of course, well, with the arrival of these first gasoline vehicles, well, we needed infrastructure. So we needed to have, well, gas stations and all of these parking spots. I mean, a car was a bit bigger than a horse. So you needed places to park them, store them. You need to make the roads kind of accessible and easier to accommodate for tires, like potholes, all of these great things. I mean, there's even a few really old movies where you can see that cars are like losing their tires sometimes in a pothole.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
like
I've
crazy
seen that.
stuff.
The tire is running over there, and your car is going over there. I've seen those. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny.
Car safety was like not invented. I mean, seat belts were like invented in the 1960s, right?
1950?
No, yeah.
When is the...
Yeah, when was the
seatbelt?
seatbelt invented?
Oh, seatbelt. Yeah.
The legit seatbelt.
In some countries, it's still not invented.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because my grandfathers didn't have seatbelts.
Your grandfather did not have
And I think
seatbelts?
that's maybe it was 1960 car.
Yeah, okay, 1960 cars.
It was patented in 1955.
Oh.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
seatbelts were patented in 1955.
But
And then for the time to get into the automotive industry
So
and be manufactured.
It was 58 when it was standard.
Oh, when you had to
Yeah.
have that.
in
Okay.
all car, but
Yeah.
you were not obliged to
Yeah, you didn't have to put it.
until in the 1970s.
Well, isn't it like that in some states in the U.S.? You cannot buckle up. Is it New Hampshire?
You're
You live free or die, right?
Oh, really?
That state, that state, live free or die. I mean, that kind of gives you everything you got inside. You can look this up. This is great to have a researcher on board. Okay, we have Sitlord Billy who says, I got gasoline yesterday for the lawnmower.
How much did it cost?
Yeah, Sitlord Billy, tell us, how much did it cost you, that actual gasoline for your lawnmower? Oh, you're going to have nice lawn this weekend. This is good. People like to trim their bushes on the weekend. I mean, this is when you're supposed to do it, right? Okay, perfect. Now, that being said, everything that happened with these cars, like all these new laws, so you had to have streets. Yes, there was some horses and some carriages and things like that, but everything became faster, quicker. Like the industrialization, the gasoline. I mean, all of that just sort of happened. And then, yes, you needed road safety. You needed places for people to pass if they were not on a car, but more like on a bicycle with their carriages or things like that. Then you also needed, well, traffic control, because it's not like having a few horses in the street. We're talking about cars. So
Seatbelts?
Yeah, seatbelts.
Yeah, seatbelts are not mandatory in the back in
Oh,
like a few
so
states.
you can just
like
kill your kids. That's fine.
over the age of 16.
Ah,
Under the age it is. Under
Okay.
the age of 16 it is. But in New Hampshire, Michigan, Arkansas, Missouri, in the back seat it's not mandatory if you're over 16. But like people don't put it in the back here either.
why? Which is the same thing. You could be ejected from the vehicle wherever you are in the vehicle,
That's
right?
true, but I gotta admit, sometimes, most of the times that I've taken Ubers, I don't put a seatbelt in the back. I know.
Sigh, you're
Sometimes
sure
the driver
seatbelt.
tells me to put it on, and then I realize I have to put it on. Otherwise, sometimes I don't.
That's
I
because
live on the edge.
Living on the edge. Maybe it's because you just don't have a driver's license. So
Yeah,
you
I just
like,
don't
own a
realize.
car.
Yeah, that
Yeah, in
is,
public
yeah.
transport, you
That's
don't
a
need to
good
wear
defense.
a seatbelt.
That's a good
I
defense.
know, it would be a great lawyer.
Yeah,
Especially for you.
Yeah.
In taxi, you don't have to put them.
But in taxis, you don't have to put them? Is that a law?
You still, I don't think in taxi.
But in taxis, dude, if they put seatbelts, it's because there's a purpose, or else you would not need one. I mean, if they did not invent it, it's like, oh yeah, we're not gonna put it. Wear your seatbelt, people. Worst thing is gonna happen, you're gonna be bruised. That's way better than being ejected off of a vehicle and then for a semi to roll on top of you, and then, well, that leaves not that much to bury, you know. So that's just my
Oh, they're
thought.
cutting costs. Awesome. Not much to bury.
Exactly.
You're cutting costs.
You just
Even in death.
A shoebox, you know, this is enough. You just scrape it all
Scrape
off,
it off.
put it in the shoebox, and then this is fine.
Let's go back to oil.
Okay, perfect. Oil. Piper, go into more details with the pet mode in Tesla. Oh, okay.
Pet mode.
Yeah, there's a pet mode in the Tesla. Well, yeah, this is really cool. I'm pretty sure there was not that in the Ford Model T, but there was no windows. So you could just like leave your pet there and it could escape anyways. But the pet mode in the Tesla Model X or in all Tesla mode and models, well, it's for you to keep climate control in your vehicle when you're not there. So if you leave a pet, a child, you're not supposed to do that. A spouse. I mean, you could just put pet mode on and that will regulate the cabin's temperature. It's just keeps the vehicle on, like the cabin on. That's just what it does. So it doesn't. Yeah, because pets die in the summer.
Some people just leave them in hot weather with windows up. I'm like, that's just like they should take their license away and throw them in jail. I love animals and I can't stand it.
I think we can feel that right now.
Yeah, I just like I'm so angry right now.
But that being said, if you see a Tesla and you see a pet in the Tesla with the windows not rolled down, there's a thing on the screen and it says pet mode on. So just look at the screen, like the big screen. And that means that the Tesla's AC, heat, all of that is all on, like depending on the temperature. So the owner usually puts the temperature to a good temperature so the pet can live in the car. So that is that. Let's get back to the oil industry's plot against electric vehicles. Yes. So we're now at the year, we're going to say like kind of 1950 right now. So we invented the seatbelt, 1955. Which is way great. Yeah. It's about time. Well, it's still you're not obliged by law to wear your seatbelt in some states for some reason. Chemist America Lifestyle. Hey, thank you for tuning in. And okay, so how did these gas vehicles become like so big? And then there's kind of no competition, right? It was just gas vehicles. That's it. Like Ford Model T, and then all these other automakers came to be, but there was no other automobile. So there was competition between all of these gasoline vehicles. We invented sedans, two doors, sports car, minivans. All of that kind of came to be, pickup trucks, but nothing that was not using gasoline. Yeah, that took a longer while. It took a longer while to really get on the market to the mainstream of the people. Which, Sai, do you have anything to add about that point? That point, like how traditional automakers maybe perceive electric vehicles nowadays and how they came from a place where they were the only ones. And now...
The gas, you mean the gasoline cars?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the electric vehicles, according to my awesome research, I think have always been like there in the background over there. But the oil industry was so powerful. It was so powerful that people just didn't pursue that much because the people who were in electric, it wasn't that much power or money behind it. So it was always there, kind of like trying to pop up here and there in the 90s and stuff, but it never
just happened.
Yeah, because we didn't have Elon Musk, someone like him.
It's because of Elon.
Yeah.
Elon, call us. Or call us. We would love for you to call us. Okay, so that leads us to like point number 2 of this podcast. The oil industry plot against electric vehicles. Well, okay, so the influence of the oil industry on the whole entire market. Like Sai just said, yes, the oil industry is huge. It's a big industry. And, well, it was more accessible. People just started to drive gasoline vehicles, so we made gas stations, and then we started going in Texas and finding more oil, and going in the sea and finding more oil, and it just became this thing that everybody was doing, and then it was easier than to start a new technology or to kind of get on with the electric because, that would cost a lot of money in R&D. And who was ready to literally purchase an electric vehicle back in the 1990s? Let's just call it like that. It was not as developed because not that many people were using it. It's always the chicken and the egg, if more people were to use it, like the high-grade sausages. If more people eat high-grade sausages, well, they're fresher, they're better. But if less people eat high-grade sausages, well, they're not fresher, so they're not better. It's a bit that simple, I guess, in that sense. Now, as Lord Billy says, the first electric car was the 1888 Flocken Elektrowagen. I guess that is like so German or something.
Yeah, super German.
A four-wheeled open carriage with 1 horsepower electric motor, a rechargeable lead acid battery, and a top speed of 9 miles per hour. Well, this is interesting because that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. If you did want an EV back then, I mean, it was not great. Like, the gas vehicles were doing a much better job at a lot of things. So we're going to get back to that a little bit later in this podcast. Make sure that you stay right here and share it with a friend, a family member, or a co-worker if you're listening to this at work. I mean, while you wait for your day to end, you can listen to the podcast that's called While You Wait. We're always there to entertain myself, Piper, and
Sai.
oh yeah. Okay, so the influence of the oil industry on policies. Well, that's a big thing because, you know, we're not going to go there. But if you are this big industry that's bringing in a lot of money, of course you're going to have impact on the new laws created. Yeah. So you're going to be able to make some decisions in that sense. And this, we do have an Amazon wish list. Go click on it. It's a USA one. Because most of our super amazing fans are from the United States of America. You can go add things to it or purchase something that is already on it. That's going to help us grow our channel because we're going to use the things that you purchase, well, to make videos like reviews, go on road trips, and many other splendid things that you will be able to find on our YouTube channel, Two Girls, One Electric Car. So that would make sense, right, Side? That all of these like big oil companies or these, well, automotive companies could kind of make choices or make new laws in that way.
Yeah.
For them to benefit and profit.
Of course, because they were the one in power. There's so much money in oil, so much money. So of course they were in power. So it benefits them to push for gasoline cars.
So they kind of reinvested in themselves.
Yeah, of course. Everyone, they're for themselves. They're not thinking about the environment, especially at that point in time. You're not thinking about the environment at all. Yeah.
You're just thinking about chocolate ducks. That's it.
And that's it.
It's a easy. You just find it and you can.
It is easy.
It's easy. You don't have. You can. Of course, you need to make some better gas, but.
In the end, you just find the petroleum, you transform it a little bit, and then bam, it's there and it's accessible. It's easy to transport. It's very cost efficient in the sense that, well, this little tiny amount of gasoline is very powerful, like very, very powerful, which batteries were not back in the day. That's another point that you need to keep in. Oil industry plot against electric cars. Well, electric cars were not great back then compared to gasoline vehicles. A gasoline vehicle could give you a lot more. Now, of course, also because everything was just gas vehicles. I mean, what did the public think about this? Like public perception. You know, people are often very scared of change or trying new things. Meaning that, well, for a new... Sorry about that. I'm great. See, if we had more electric vehicles, maybe I would cough like this. I have a cat in my mouth.
And not a whole cat, just cat here.
Just a cat. It's a French expression.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like you say you have a cat in your throat.
Oh.
When your throat is that kind of like ticklish.
I think in English you say you have a frog in your throat.
A frog, but that's like the French word for like being French.
Oh.
Being a frog.
Being a frog
Yeah,
is French?
because the Quebecois people would eat frogs during
They
the
do
war.
eat frogs, that's true.
Yeah, I've eaten frogs. Okay, we'll be fine. Just need a bit more moment. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for listening to my ASMR coughing. It was all free part of While You Wait the podcast. Okay, that being said, public perception. Everything was always all on these gas vehicles. I mean, we had nothing else. You wanted the ting, ting, ting. All of these things were like a gas vehicle things. You wanted all of that. So there's no way you wanted to have an EV because the EV did not like portrait all of these things that you saw in the ads and what maybe your parents drove and what you wanted to drive. I mean, it was just not branded. Nothing was doing it like that. Now, RP just dropped in. Hey, RP, thank you for being there. RP says people talk to EVs owners as if they haven't owned both. We know the truth. Okay, It's true. It's true that most EV owners right now, like if in 2024, have had gasoline vehicles prior, because electric vehicles have only been around for like 15 years, and those were like really, really early adopters. We're thinking more like 5 to 10 years. They're like good EVs that can literally kind of sort of beat gasoline vehicles on range, on rapidity, and all of that. So that being said, yeah, I understand that most people think that, but we will get to that point where the kids that are getting their driver's license now might never touch a gas vehicle. Like this is going to happen. It's probably already happening. Mm-hmm.
But to that point where like why there wasn't like more interest in electric vehicles or like people weren't, yeah, we have to remember the times at that time, early 1900s, what was happening. We were, especially North America, was going through a huge industrial revolution. Everything was happening, and then we got this World War I, World War II,
Yeah.
like all of this. So I think people's priorities were different, and plus having a car, just a gas car, was an innovation in itself, which was still relatively new. So I don't think people were too like, oh my God, the environment, the air. Yeah, they didn't care about that because they were thinking
We
about.
didn't discover pollution.
Yeah,
No.
we hadn't. All the industrial revolution caused a lot of pollution, and that became a factor later on. So yeah, so I think people were just on a different mindset.
Yeah, it's a different time. So different mindset. You can't judge the people back then for that. I mean, was it okay? They didn't know better. Plus they lived in like this constant smog.
The chimney was high to put it.
Exactly. The chimneys were like super, super high because they thought that the higher it was, then all of that kind of smoke would not affect them. Yeah, that was the mindset. So that being said, it makes a lot of sense. We also have Chemist America Lifestyle, who says our big red H oil and gas companies get billions every year in subsidies, so they just follow the money. Okay, so yes, like we said, the oil industry and the politics and everything has to do with policies, new laws, and well, it was a thing. I mean, they were making money, so they could make decisions. Plus, cars were all gasoline, so all the laws that were made were according to that. In that sense, so these people were the people that were at the table when the government needed to do laws. And it's not all bad. I mean, they made great laws for like safety of passengers and the people in the streets. Carl says some kids definitely never even going to own gas vehicles. Of course not. We're in 2024, so it's definitely probably not going to happen for a lot of people. Hack of all trades says no one cared about coal till the smog shut down London. Yeah, that was a huge thing. That was a huge thing. And you know, like some of the impressionist paintings, if you're a little bit into the arts, well, sometimes they seem kind of foggy. And so some people were like, oh, was it because these guys did not have glasses? Was it because it was like a style of the day? But what they realized is that some of these impressionist paintings, they were actually painted when there was smog because of the industrialization. So
Wow.
this feel that you get is just, that was their perception of the world back then.
I didn't know that. That is interesting. So
Yeah.
that's how they see their surroundings because the smog was so
cloudy.
thick. Oh, with the smog. Oh, dang.
So they would just like paint what they saw, and what they saw was this kind of soft blur of, yeah, pollution.
What was pollution?
It was pollution, people. It was literally pollution.
They didn't invent a style. They copy what.
Exactly. It wasn't a style. It wasn't not an artistic choice. It was just what they saw right there and then. That's it. It's like, oh, you paint on a sunny day or you paint on a rainy day. So you paint rain or you paint sun. Well, they painted pollution. That was their style. They just painted what they saw. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Piper, and I'm with the researcher.
Sai.
And we are here on the podcast while you wait for your electric vehicle to charge, because it still takes a little bit of time. So we aim to entertain you for an hour and a half every single day. Make sure you tune in to While You Wait, while you're waiting for your EV to charge, or maybe you're waiting for that pasta to be cooked. You can still listen to us, well, for 15 minutes, you know, in daily little doses or in huge doses every day too. We don't mind. Plus, we can get very addictive. How the oil industry will push off the EV. So I think like what we're saying is that it just sort of happened. It was just not the forefront of the conversation in the 19 and like 19 in the 20th century. Let's say it like that. In the 20th century, it was just settler Billy, don't go there. Okay. It was just not something people would talk about because it was not there. We had other problems, like Sai was saying. So oil industry was pushing because that's what brought them money. So they was just pushing the blanket on their side, but there was nobody else to push it somewhere else, you know, in that way. So if you're sleeping alone and you pull the blanket, does that mean the other person's gonna be cold? No, there's nobody. There's nobody else. But once Elon Musk kind of gets in bed with the oil companies, then what it does is that, yeah, there is a push and pull of the blanket. And that's what we're seeing right now with all of these electric vehicles. I mean, we got Elon Musk with Tesla, but we also have old like automakers that are developing models that are electric vehicles or even hybrids and even hydrogen now. So there's becoming this more of a, you know, a mixture. Why? Because of climate change, because of the environment. RP says, I remember the gas shortage, waiting in line to get gas ration. When was that?
Really?
Not long ago.
You know,
But isn't that because they were on strike? Like the gas people were on strike in Europe? There was a little bit of that.
yeah, I think
Yeah, in France there was like some sort of a gas shortage because the people that worked in that industry were on strike, and we know how the French are. They like to go on strike a lot.
maybe during Vietnam, I don't know.
I think it's the 1970s. In 1973, there was a oil. There was a shortage because of the. I'm buffering.
This is okay. Perfect. Sai is buffering. We're just gonna leave her a little bit of time. She's gonna get back to
I
us
think
in a minute.
There was a Yom Kippur war. I have done buffering.
Oh,
Yes.
So during the Yom Kippur War.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
A
1973.
Jewish war?
The Yom
Yeah,
Kippur.
in Israel. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And so there was like during that time there was a lot of shortage because of there was not enough domestic production and stuff like that. And,
Oh, so you lived through that, RP. Thank you very much for saying that. I mean, that's another thing. It makes it so that back then we were more reliable. We relied more on fossil fuels. Nowadays, yes, some countries are trying to rely more, of course, on what they have domestically, but also to rely more on many different types so that if something happens, we have these options, these like safety nets that are not just oil, and they're not just electricity either. I mean, to have a little bit of everything would be best. That way it's not like all your eggs in the same basket. Chris Pankage, hey! 70s oil embargo thanks to Jimmy
Yeah,
Carter.
That's why
Okay.
it was called shortage in 1973 embargo.
Yeah, because an embargo is usually when they're like, nope, I'm not going to buy from this place anymore. And then, yes, 70s gas ties us to international event. Okay. We got people lining up for gas in Costco.
I said that a lot.
Well,
Because
but-
it's cheap.
Maybe because Costco has cheaper gas, a bit like a real Canadian superstore. Here in Canada, they do have gas pumps too. So that just means that gas is cheaper there. So people on Saturday and Sunday, usually that's when most people don't work. So they go there and they fill up their cars. That can take a little bit more time. Again, if you have an EV, you just plug at home, so you're not like this does not affect you at all.
Have you seen any Costco gas station?
Uh,
Have you seen one?
Costco gas station here? No, I have not. I have not.
I remember one in Montreal.
Yeah, there's one in Montreal. Yeah, because you know when we take that weird Costco there, that one.
The bridge one.
Yeah, the bridge one. Yeah, he had that Costco had a gas station. So the influence of oil on like the automotive industry, yes, they pushed it on their side, which is gonna lead us to point number 3. Consumer perception and awareness. Now that being said, if the only thing you had was, yes, these vehicles, these like gasoline vehicles, well, how do you even want something else? Like, you need for somebody to create something that you're like, hey, I would like to try that. I mean, you need for people to know about it. You need branding. So let's go back. So do we tie it up? Because some people are still adding things. I have World War II gas ration stamps for my Harley Davidson. Your Harley Davidson is old.
Keep it. It's old. It's like vintage.
Wow, it's like more than vintage. This like, can you say quarantintage? Like this is this is like wow. Okay,
That's all.
so the gas rations, well, yeah, because during the World War, right, they rationed everything: sugar, butter, gas. I mean, everything. Sid Lord Billy says the Arab oil embargo of 1973 put the United States economy on the back foot, causing fuel shortages, a quadrupling of oil prices, and long lines of gas stations. Yeah, but people had cars, right? 1973 is not that far back. I mean, they had LSD though, so that's kind of cool. Chris Pankage says that it's antique. Yeah, I think I don't think you call it vintage anymore. You call it antique.
Antique. Wow.
Not old.
That's
classic.
old antique.
Well, okay, because when you get a vehicle like a car, and you have the license for it, you can actually have it be antique or vintage, but then it's different time frames, right? So tell us in the live comment section, what is vintage, what is antique, how old does it have to be from the time of like right now to be classified as an antique or to be classified as a...
You can get it officially classified.
Yeah. So your license plate is gonna be like the year, not in which it was made, but when I went to the Langley, I think it's like at the Langley Vintage Classic Car Show, some cars had like the classic license, others had the vintage, and other has the antique.
Whoa.
So it's a special license plate, and you can't take the car all the time on the road. I think it's like only Sundays or something like that.
Oh, so there's a limit, like by law?
Yeah, because they're dangerous.
And also it costs less for the...
Yeah, and it costs less for the license because you're not really running it every day. I mean, you're not supposed to. It's not really road safe anymore. If you're... Okay, so 20 years old,
25.
20 years or older, or 25, yes, thank you, Sai, or older, you can get a historic plate. It's immune to emission checks. Of course it is, because, yeah, this is like old. You need to preserve like some of these antiques, vintage, classics, of course, just for history purposes, so that we know what happened before, to not do the same mistakes in the future. And while you are in the future, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Two Girls One Electric Car, because we bring you awesome electric vehicle information, debates, talks every day at 12 p.m. Vancouver time. While you wait for your antique to become an antique so you can sell it again, you should definitely listen to our podcast. Hack of All Trades says antique. Are you talking about yourself or are you talking about your car? RP says plug it in. Yes, well, okay, some antiques might be electric vehicles, but those one really did not go that far. So let's get to actual consumer perception. Yeah, so this was a big challenge, and Elon Musk, to get his EVs out there, had to like do a lot of things. Like the Roadster was the first one, of course, but that did not go like full crazy market. Then he actually created all of this infrastructure with free electricity to make it so people would purchase electric vehicles. So people would have like an incentive to do that. Then the government made a whole bunch of incentives in tax, in a lot of other things to make sure that people would purchase these vehicles compared to the gas vehicles. So they had to help people make this choice. A little push, not a shove, but a little push. Chemist America Lifestyle says vintage is my wife's 2019 Model 3 and classic is my 2016 Model S, and a dinosaur for Jen Tesla. I mean, this makes a lot of sense because if you are talking about technology used to technology is a bit like cat and dog ears. Technology gets really, really like worst faster than all these older vehicles in that sense. I mean, this is a good point. Like really good point. RP says Tesla Motors was founded as an electric car maker by engineer Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning in 2003. Oh, thank you for sharing that, RP. Yeah, I know that kind of Elon just kind of bought it, right? It's kind of his thing. This is what he does. But then he makes it something amazing, which I love.
Yeah, what Tesla is today is because of Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what it would have been like with the original founders or whatever.
No idea. Even McDonald's is not the original founder that made it famous.
Yeah, who people are remembered for what they did. So Tesla would be remembered for Elon Musk. I don't think it'd be remembered for the original owners. I don't even know their names, right?
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Yeah, but thank you for bringing it up, RP, because the whole point is like to get entertained and educated. So, well, to make sure that all these people, they knew about EVs. There was a few things that Elon Musk did. Yes, he made the gas free, but also having these Tesla superchargers near you made it so people kind of saw that. Because you see all these gas stations, so you're like, oh, it makes sense that I would buy a gas car. Like every gas station is kind of an advertisement for a gas vehicle, right? Then of course you could go buy donuts there, but it still has gasoline. What else are you gonna do with the gasoline? Yeah, lawnmower, all that. We get it. But then having these Tesla superchargers just acted as advertisement, and people were like, oh, what's this? How does it work? You kind of suscitate this interest slowly but surely into the mind of the population. But if you had an electric car in your garage and you never brought it out, well, how did you want people to maybe even think or consider that it was a possibility? We're still having trouble with this. I mean, this channel is still receiving comments saying that electric cars will explode. And we are like 15 years past that. This is crazy. I mean, this is like literally crazy. So that being said, there was some legit like limitations with electric vehicles back in the beginning of the 1900s. I mean, this is a lot of limitations. The range was really bad. Like the range was really, really bad. And if you like range, make sure you subscribe. Super easy. Just subscribe right now. There's the link right there in the live comment section. You click it. It's free. It's free to subscribe. Yeah, just like the free electricity I get on my Tesla Model X 2016. Super easy. So all of this energy, all of these things. I totally lost where I was. Okay, range. We're talking about range. So the first electric vehicles, yes, they existed at the same time as the gas vehicles, but they had no range. They had 9 miles per hour you could go. That's not fast. And a range of 2 kilometers you could go. This was not enough compared to the actual gas vehicles. There was not even a fair competition. There was no competition. Why would you buy an EV if it brings you to your mailbox and back? Like that was pretty much what an EV was back in the early 1900s. So you did not want to buy that. That was not even a thing. RP says 2023 Chevy Bolt. I haven't fast charged it yet. Oh, I've never been in a Bolt. I had the Chevy Volt, which I really loved.
Some people never go to a charger.
Yeah, some people don't need it. Yeah, you just plug at home. Some people don't need to fast charge. It's not necessary, especially if you have, an outlet at home. Why would you go there? There's nothing about a Bolt charging that's fast, okay? When you get to the charger, it isn't broken. Your car can charge at the full charge rate. Really? So a Bolt doesn't supercharge? It doesn't does not supercharge? I mean, it depends on the car. Of course, Tesla has this thing where it wants to supercharge as fast as possible, but I have no idea. Let's just talk about this more. This is interesting. Okay, so tell us. Chris Pankage says no. Okay, I need a little bit more, a little bit more juice on that. It's capped at 125 kilowatt hour, I guess. Okay, so meaning that you can only get 125. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, 125 is not that bad. It's going to take you a few hours. That means it's not going to charge in 20 minutes.
You don't even charge at that.
No, sometimes, yeah. The urban chargers for Tesla are usually 72 kilowatt hour. One of the, earlier models. Now they're looking to do, the V3s and V4s are going to charge way faster. But if the charger works correctly, yeah, so what you see on the charger when it says, 250 kilowatt hour, sometimes it's not the real amount you're getting. Most often it will be way less than that. So this is something to consider. But again, back then, there wasn't even chargers. I mean, houses just got electricity. That's what was happening. So you would not think about purchasing an electric vehicle. It was not a thing. We needed somebody like Elon to make it accessible, to pay a lot of money, I guess, to get it there. Maybe, ask for funds. I mean, all of that stuff had to be done for the public to be like, you know what? I want this. And not only that, but environmental concerns. We kind of discovered that we made some holes in the ozone. We discovered that, climate change was a real thing and that the earth was becoming hotter. Now, that was not such a good thing for humans because we can't really survive that well without clothes, homes, and things like that. Hack of all trades says many gas vehicles had issues with exploding on impact. E.g. 73 through mid 80s. Chevy truck side impact, also Pinto rear collision. Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
My mother had a car that was not good because it exploded.
It exploded?
No, not this one, but a lot.
Okay, but a lot of cars exploded back then.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, to get to that technology where the car does not explode. I mean, Sai, are you scared right now?
Oh, I'm very scared. Can't you tell? That's why I'm so quiet.
We're talking about explosions.
I know. That's like my trauma.
This is so your area.
I'm triggered.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So he's saying that gasoline car did explode. Every car needs some R&D and every car needs to be put on the road, and they still pass these safety tests. Of course, better now than they were before. But that being said, I mean, things can still happen. That's why there's some recalls now, and we've all seen Fight Club, right? Okay, great. Let's not dive deeper into this. Chris Pankage says, love my Chevy Volt. Would take another in a heartbeat, but now Chris has a Kona. My gateway to EV is a Chevy Volt, but after a year and a half, I rarely use the engine, so I guess I'm average driver, so we turned electric. Chemist America Lifestyle, that's exactly what happened to me. So actually, I moved to the city, and I wasn't reusing my Chevy Volt enough, because it has like this generator in it and you're supposed to use it or else it's supposed to like not go very well for it. It's not like a real engine gas vehicle.
But it's gonna jam.
It's gonna jam. Pretty much it's gonna jam. So if you're not using your Chevy Volt for daily commutes or like weekly commutes, you should not get you should not get a Chevy Volt. You should get an electric vehicle or gas vehicles because this is not good for you, or maybe an hybrid. So that's why I got rid of mine too. So I switched it for a Mercedes that was, only gasoline. It was pretty cool ride, you know. But the thing is, once you get, it becomes a gateway to electric vehicles. Once you feel an electric vehicle, once you've been in one, you don't want to go back to gasoline. You don't want to go back to like the pump. You don't want all of that, like the maintenance, the oil, all of that. You don't want it anymore. It's like, no. So then I got my Tesla Model X, and that was amazing. RP says, Bolt charges slow, but is efficient, up to 100 miles in 30 minutes. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, thank you for being so active in the live comment section. I'm Piper, and I'm with
Sai,
my super awesome researcher. We are talking about the oil industry's plot against electric vehicles. And right now, we are talking about why this kind of electric vehicle never did it before, here in North America, before Tesla. I mean, it was really bad. And really bad. The electric vehicle had nothing for it. It wouldn't it did not have range. The electricity to plug it was not yet a thing. I mean, nothing worked, and it was super expensive for nothing, for long charging. So we really needed this kind of person that would invest everything they got into this to make it popular in that sense. Do you agree with this? Leave a comment. We have KV who dropped in. Hi. Before the 1920s, there was an equal amount of 1/3 gas cars, 1/3 EV, 1/3 steam cars. They also had EVs with 100-mile range. Look up 100-mile Fritzl. It's super
Fritzl.
Cool. That's the one that the guy was talking about, right?
Yeah. So it was produced from 1905 to 1916.
Okay.
Yeah, but then it kind of stopped because I think the gasoline cars were being pushed so much, and it was just easier that it just kind of faded out and never caught on. Like gasoline cars, obviously. So, yeah.
Obviously, we know now because we're 2024 and that's what's happening. I mean, they had terrible battery tech back then, though. But that's the thing. So you need a lot of R&D. You need a lot of support to get these vehicles out there.
Also, gasoline was cheaper. It was cheaper to have a gasoline car. So why would people at that time even at any time, but especially during war times and stuff like that.
During war and the Great
Yeah.
Recession, Depression.
Even today, like if people would go for a cheaper option, and pollution was like before it was not a thing because we were not aware of the pollution. But again, people will still go for a cheaper. I think.
Still, I mean, if you don't have enough money to eat, you're not gonna buy a better option for the environment. There's not really a choice in that way. Then, if you do have enough money to eat, then yes, you can choose to make a more environmentally friendly, choice. But that is not everybody's case. So thank you for being in the live comment section and saying that. So that being said, that leads us to like number 4, government policies and regulations. So there is something in California that's like the zero emission vehicle mandate. And I know Chris has talked about this a little bit, sort of, kind of, meaning that, okay, I remember 1996 GM EV1. That was kind of one of the first electric cars. No, it wasn't. But commercial one that you could literally just go to the dealer and buy.
No,
And
it was rented.
oh yeah, it was only rented, huh?
Only rented.
It's true. You would only rent it. You could not buy it. Like, I mean, a few actors had one and things like that.
Gibson got it.
Mel Gibson had a GM EV1. And after that, well, the thing is, yes, if we go back to the 1920s, it's a bit different mindset, but let's get more closer to the actual, like, year 2000. Okay, so 1996, that's perfect. That's perfect for us right now. So that's what happened. What happened is that, well, government policies now are taking into consideration the actual environment. So because they're taking into consideration the environment, they need to enforce laws and policies that make it so there is now a space for electric vehicles to live, grow, evolve in, which there wasn't before. There wasn't this like, this little bubble of opportunity that is here now. Now, yeah, there is the California one. Again, I've said this a whole bunch of times on the podcast, but here in Canada, in 2035, you have to only sell electric vehicles. All new vehicles sold will be electric. So this is really big. This is really big. Now, KV says Vancouver Electric Vehicle Association still has a 1913 Detroit Electric that is still runs. This is so cool. We need to go there.
You need to wear.
Where's that? Oh, a Hack of All Trades says GM took them all back. So we're talking about the EV1 and destroyed them. That's really sad. But yeah, it is true from what I'm hearing from my team here. So that means that all of these policies, new green parties and all that, well, yeah, they're pulling the blanket a little bit more on their side, making for laws to accommodate, or yes, taxes and things like that, to make it so that people now have a choice. They can now buy an electric vehicle. And maybe they don't have a choice actually very soon. They're going to have to buy a new electric vehicle. There's going to be no other choice. Right, Sai?
Exactly. Yeah. It's difficult for a lot of people to have the choice taken away. They see it as like, we discussed this before. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a thing.
It's gonna be a thing. EVs are gonna be a thing. They are a thing. RP says car makers used to sell California only vehicles for emission. They ended up changing them for the entire country. Well, you need an early adopter. You need somebody who kind of opens the ball. You need somebody that's there and it's like changing the world, you know? You need these policies and these laws to make it everywhere. And now, yes, even gas vehicles have emission policies. They have some quotas and some things like that, and they need to make sure with the catalytic thing, that part of the vehicle, that they respect these emissions so that we don't pollute too much and we can actually breed in cities. I want to breed in cities. You want to breed in cities, Sai?
Preferred. Yes, it's
You don't
preferred.
want to walk on with a mask all the time, right?
No, it's like horrible. It's like stuff of nightmares, not the good kind of nightmares.
Yeah, not the good kind of nightmare.
Yeah.
Bad kind of nightmares. So we don't want that for you people, and you don't want that for yourself either. So let's get to technology advancements. So like we were saying, most people did not buy electric vehicles back then in the day. Maybe not just because the oil industry plotted against electric vehicles, but maybe because electric vehicles were shit. They were like really not good, right?
Yeah, because they didn't put that much into innovating it. You need money and resources and support and like
And you need
stuff
all
like-
these kids to be like, oh yeah, when I grow older, I want to be a battery chemist.
Yeah.
And
I
then
guess,
they go
yeah.
to school to do that.
Sure. What kid does?
This
Okay.
dream.
Yeah, we need those weird kids, right? Yeah, but I think at that time the new cars, the gasoline cars, they were constantly coming up with new things like horsepower or whatever, you know. I don't know, I'm not a car person. But yeah, whatever they were coming up with, they were just so enticing for people. And again, why would they not go for it? There was no
There's no
thing.
decent.
Yeah, they
other
would,
choice.
yeah, they if they really wanted to stick to their old belief, they would get a horse.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
an electric car, right? So yeah.
Exactly. And so far, we're not seeing a rise in horses. I haven't seen many horses in downtown Vancouver, for those of you who are wondering. Does anyone miss carburetors? What do you mean, like carburetors?
Carburetor.
Like a carb?
That control the gas.
The thing. Yeah, okay. Voo, voo. But that's for EVs. Like EVs that don't do sound. They don't do that. But then gasoline cars still have carburetors, right? I mean, they do.
Like your motorcycle.
Like my motorcycle has that? Oh, that thing. Okay, but your motorcycle makes more noise anyways.
It's not the carburetor. It's
Okay.
the muffler.
But why? Okay, but why do we need carburetor then? Just for environment? Is that what we're talking about?
It's a cool piece of engine.
Oh, it's a cool piece of engineering. Okay, no more carburetors. Everything fuel injection. Now much more reliable, as are EVs. Well, that makes sense. Go. Still polluting, still polluting. We're still better off with EVs. So Lord Billy says, go get an electric horse piper. That'd be kind of cool, right? Make a mark. Hey,
Boston
thank you for being there. Yeah, Boston Dynamics. Don't make dogs. Make me a horse. Make me like a real horse. Plus, I'm allergic to horses, so it would be greatly beneficial if I had an electric one. Micromark says, all the people we lost in wars for oil, I would think people who love to have EVs, but the oil lobbyists make people despite it. Okay. Well, of course, of course we lost people to wars, especially oil. I mean, it's money. Money brings wars. Religion brings wars. I mean, things bring war in general, so that's the thing. And Scotty Landon says technology is more advanced now, to a lot more advanced. What war was over oil? Like Egypt? Hold of Taliban? Like
Yeah.
that it wasn't about oil?
It wasn't about
Yeah, well, we're not sure. Okay, we're not sure because we're just YouTubers, so we're not studying geopolitics. But I mean, Kuwait was kind of about oil, wasn't it? No. That's the war. That's the debate
it's a
about
debate.
the war.
Like, why would you go to the Middle East if it's not
For
oil?
fun.
For
To see the pyramids.
that's Egypt. Is that?
Yeah.
Kind of Middle East.
Kuwait
yeah.
is like right on top of there, right? It's like kind of top of there. Okay, people, let's get back to oil industry's plot against electric car. Because like a lot of people don't really associate with EVs for different reasons. Just because it's new and it's a new technology and they like their gasoline vehicle, but maybe they also don't have this choice because they don't have the money to put in an EV. Now EVs are becoming a lot cheaper nowadays, so it's going to get to a point where you are realistically going to be able to buy an EV that is exactly the same price and the same like range and all these same things as a gasoline vehicle, and we're very close to it. Some vehicles are actually like kind of already doing that. So the problem was, yes, definitely the batteries. In like the 20th century, batteries were still not great for electric vehicles. Then, of course, the fact that the batteries were not great meant that, batteries needed to be changed more. Then because they would degrade more. Then the infrastructure was not there. So how would you plug your battery? How would you recharge in that way? Well, you wait. Listen to our podcast that's called While You Wait. Because while you wait to charge your electric vehicle, we are there to entertain you and inform you about electric vehicle technology. Oh yeah, and many other super interesting things like history. Super cool. Southern California, a lot of younger people believe EV myths. Wow, this is cool. We did a whole podcast about 5 myths about EV. Go check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. Hack of all trades says, from an engineering standpoint, fewer mechanical moving parts is better. Always better, right? If we had no legs, it would be way better. Okay. Advancements.
I don't know if that translates well.
But maybe not. Maybe not. Advancements in technology made it so that it was maybe just right time, right place, right moment to have EVs. Okay, the climate change, all these things, but just the fact that our technologies was good enough. I mean, Da Vinci invented the helicopter. It did not happen. Did not happen. You know, it was not a great model. And then the helicopter came later. So it's not because the technology is there in an idea form that it can be implemented right away and hit especially this kind of mass market that we're seeing now with electric vehicles, because we are really at that literal like point where electric vehicles are hitting mass market. We are going there to the fact that EVs are going to be as common, if not sooner than later, the norm in vehicles, especially here in Canada. Now, I don't know for everywhere else in the world, but you should tell us where you're from. Yeah, drop a comment, super easy. Just log into your channel or your, well, I don't know, Google account, and then leave a comment. So all of these inventions that we got during the 20th century, well, that definitely helped us get to where we're now. This is so the sensors, the cameras, the radars. I mean, all of these like this battery technology, maybe Energizer and Duracell kind of did something right, you know? The discovering of not new metals, but new mixture. Like we had lithium ion, we had like a whole bunch of new things, phosphate, like all of these special battery chemistry. And if you're wondering why I'm like freaking out on battery chemistry, it's because the guy that owns BYD, this electric vehicle company that is from China, well, he actually was and still is, I guess, a battery chemist. So he would...
He's the kid that studied.
He's the kid.
See?
He's the kid that studied. So he invented, well, the battery chemistry that was the battery that was put in most cell phones. Yeah, the first cell phones, especially Motorola and all that. So then his company's battery company became, well, a car company because you already had the battery technology. So yeah, you need battery chemists. It's a thing. They exist. I had no idea, but I thought I'd share this with you. How was your used car experience, Piper? So far, so great. Thank you, Settler Billy. So oil industries plot against electric vehicles. Now, let's have a little bit of an alternative perspective. Now, we had electric vehicles, we have gas vehicles, but if you were there in like the 1950s, like what type of person would you have been? Would you have been one of those hippies? Because the hippies, what they thought? This is a really funny thing. The hippies, Sai, you need to listen to this. The hippies, at one point, they were so hippie cultured that they decided for them that it was not going to be electric vehicles. It was going to be running everywhere.
Running?
Yeah. So the hippies had this thing.
Like on their legs?
Yeah,
running?
yeah. Like running. That they would not use transport anymore because it was too polluting, because it was starting to get there like in 60s, 70s. So they would just run everywhere. So maybe that's why Nike became like so famous, you know?
How did that work out for them?
Well, have you ever seen a hippie run?
Not for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Get arrested for the weed.
Exactly. They get arrested for the weed. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things I read about the hippie culture.
Oh, damn.
They wanted to run everywhere. So maybe that created Nike, Reebok, and that also created Forrest Gump, you know?
Run, Forrest, run.
Yeah, we have no idea, but maybe it's all from the hippie culture.
Wow,
Yeah.
we owe so much to hippies.
We owe so much to hippies. Yes, the beatniks were in the 1950s, and then the hippies more the 60s, and then you had the yuppies. I think that's a bit like sooner, and then you have the millennials. Yeah, that's me. That joke of the day. Well, okay, so it's really funny, but it's true that if you were for this environmentally friendly movement, that yes, veganism and vegetarianism, that started with the hippie movement.
Did you read
sorta.
the joke? Did the reader, the chemist American Lifestyle said a joke?
No,
Did you
no,
read?
no. You want to read it?
Yeah, it's a dad joke. Why don't electric vehicles ever tell jokes?
I don't know.
Because they run out of charge before the punchline.
This is funny coming from somebody who has an EV. This is like so funny jokes that like people would say to us, EV owners. Thank you for the joke. It was good. I will put your cellular. Okay, that being said, well, yeah, you have all these like all of this time that has passed 138 years of gas vehicles, and now just now are we seeing a real sort of kind of competition, real choice for electric vehicles to come in the marketplace, and for people to be like, yeah, I want to drive an EV for the environment, for the instant torque. I mean, whatever your reason is, it's possible now, which it wasn't before. So what do you think? What do you think about this whole podcast so far? What do you think about the oil industry's plot against the electric car? Do you think it's a thing? Do you think the oil industry really plotted? Or do you think that's just humans are lazy and that's how people happen? So far the vote is at 77% of people say yes, the oil industry did plot against the electric car, and 23% say no, and Carl well messed it up. So maybe Carl has been affecting these results. But that being said, 76% now, I just ended the poll, well, think that the oil industry plotted against the electric car. So that means like you think that really like some people sat at a table and were like, we're gonna not have the electric car. You don't think humans are just so lazy that it happened because we were thinking about something else, like war and other things like that? RP says oil industry owned charging networks. You mean like charging? Because so far like Elon Musk owns like Tesla superchargers, and that's
Probably the other charger. But I would not be surprised.
no. Of course, it's not surprising that oil industries like at Exxon you can charge.
Right,
Well, because now there's a possible profit. So why would they? And they already have the real estate. It's like if McDonald's decided to convert to Wendy's. I mean, not saying they're going to do that, but they already have the real estate. They just need to put like different burgers there. Yeah, square, set it around. So that could happen. I mean, definitely, this is a thing. If there's a place for money, oil industry can vary their investment in that way. And then gas stations, well, they already have this place where people are stopping. So I've seen EV chargers at gas stations. Just because it's there, you can just plug it in there. You already have the space. Now, superchargers are a completely different thing, like the Tesla superchargers, because those are not at gas stations. Not always. Some place, like when we've been to Hope here in British Columbia, it's like a huge like truck stop, and there is a gas station for trucks, so I guess like more like diesel. And then in the front, there's a gas station with, yes, diesel, but like for cars and all that, and gasoline. And then, well, you can actually do all that there. And there's a Tesla supercharger on the same place. So that all kind of communicates and cohabitates together in the same place, which is great. But that means that, yes, it would be a bit dumb for all of these, well, fill tanks, pumps, gasoline places to not open these electric charging stations where they have them. I mean, you're already there. People are already stopping to buy donuts, right? So why wouldn't you do it? It would be dumb.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but makes sense
To
But
use
it-
this space.
Yeah, to use this space. Plus, oil industry, like people who are in charge or whatever, they care about profit the most. They're concerned with profit. They're not gonna stop. They want the oil to succeed. So even back in those days, even though there were other priorities like war and stuff like that, they still, even if they weren't, they would not go down and be like, oh yeah, whatever, like electric.
No, it's a business.
Yeah, exactly. It's a business, and they're a businessman, and they care a lot about profits. So yeah, it's always, they are gonna try to also profit from the electric cars, like making charging stations, like you said. So yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense for them to do that. Why wouldn't they? I mean, it's an opportunity. They already have the place. And then if
They're
you...
selling agendas.
Yeah, they're selling agendas. Exactly. They're selling wood. They're selling propane and propane accessories. I mean, they're already doing all of that because they want you to go there to their location to fuel up. So whatever that fuel is energy in electricity or fuel. As long as you're there. Hydrogen even. Like we saw this EXO that had hydrogen in our Hydrogen versus Electric Car podcast. So this is the thing. Douglas Downless says most power plants use oil to create electricity. Yeah, that is a thing. So not all electricity is clean. Like clean electricity or renewable, as some people like to call it. That is, you need to know where your electricity is coming from. Because some use coal to create electricity, like China. RP, fossil fuel heavyweights are making investment in EV charging, battery technology, and car manufacturing. Again, there's money to make there now, so why wouldn't they in that sense? And even like the beginner automakers like Honda, Chevy, Ford, they all have EVs now. Everybody has an EV. So if they're all kind of together and sleeping together and talking to each other, it just makes sense. The electric vehicles are going to be a thing. So there's going to be less gas stations, or there's going to be a lot less pumps open very soon, because we're going to need to accommodate for all these people, all these newer vehicles that are going to be only electric, well, for them to charge, to have a place to charge. Hack of All Trades says wood is carbon neutral. Okay. Yeah, but then you still need to kind of like, carry the wood.
I don't get that.
I don't get that one either. You're like transporting the wood and then you're making coal out of the wood. Is that what you mean? Like charcoal? And then you're burning it, right? So that's not carbon neutral anymore. KV says even a coal-powered EV is still cleaner than a gas car. Plus, the grid is getting cleaner every day. It's true that the grid is getting cleaner because all of these government incentives to make it so that we are slowly but surely going to breathe fresher air. We want to reduce all of that pollution. So we want to have cleaner, yes, roads with the cars, but also just cleaner energy in general. Like this is the point. RP says electric power from fossil fuel is still cleaner.
Yes,
but this makes sense because there's no emanations after. So you have emanations
You
well.
just have the coil that pollute, not the car.
Exactly. So you're just polluting one time, not two times,
Exactly.
in that sense. So you're still cutting that part, which is great. Thank you very much for adding that, RP. Okay. Now, what do I have here? I have some music. That's what I have. Okay. Okay. So what makes it so that, again, now we are at this phase in life that electric vehicles are a thing and you can go and purchase an EV if you have the means. And that is definitely, like we said, let's do a little recap, the environment. That is like, it's there. People are conscious about climate change. People are conscious that what they choose to buy affects other people, and it's going to affect the next generation. There's kind of this consciousness about like the planet and the people that live on it, which was just not there before. It was a different consciousness. It was not towards that per se. Chemist America Lifestyle said, hoping they start putting superchargers not in the back. We just charge at Saskatoon and it's the back of the building. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes they're hard to find. We were looking for one in Hope and we were like, where is it? That has happened. Yeah.
They want to hide it, so
Yeah,
you're
'cause
like, oh, there's not enough. Let's buy a gasoline car.
Yeah. So such conspiracy. Okay, but do you believe, Side, that there is kind of this is a change of consciousness that's been happening more with your generation? Like this whole anxiety over climate and over pollution and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. Climate change. I've always believed in climate change because I can see and sense and, I can see it changing and stuff like that. There's like ice melting in Antarctica and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a real thing. So yeah, it does matter. Like if I were to drive, I would get an electric car. It just makes sense. Not because I'm super into environment. I also think they look cool. I also think that they're really, the features and everything it's pretty cool to have one.
Mm-hmm. So it's a different choice. It's a different perspective than a perspective of somebody that, yeah, did have gasoline vehicles before. But then again, you just need to try that one time. So go get a referral link. It's right down there. In the video description. Yeah. You can click that referral link. And then when you book a demo test drive, yeah, for the new Cybertruck, you know, for another model of Tesla, because that's not the one you have. Well, when you book something like that on the Tesla website with our referral link, well, we get some points, and then we're gonna get to go visit one of the amazing super gigafactories. Yeah, and we'll bring you with us in a YouTube video. Okay. Also, well, you can buy the merch, you can add some things to your actual Tesla, or you can purchase a Tesla with our referral link, and that's also gonna give us amazing points that we can use to create more amazing content for you. So thank you for doing that. Now, RP says it's better if they put the chargers in the back, less likely to get iced or used as Tesla parking. Okay, so I see what you're. Yeah, so if people just park there, some people have done that. Like we're thinking about doing a podcast on like the etiquette on how long to park, where to park, and all these things, which could be kind of interesting in a future podcast. But you can always give us ideas for newer podcasts. Yes, we read all the comments and take all of your ideas into considerations when deciding to shoot a podcast, and we shoot them every single day at 12 p.m. Vancouver time. So make sure you're there. Turn on your notifications. Now, the other thing that really helped for the EVs to get there is all of this technology. Yeah, we talked about it. Batteries, infrastructure, all of this advancement. But if we have to wrap it up in one single thing, I think it's Elon Musk. But then you can't just give it to the guy, like all of him, okay? There was right time, right place, right moment. But it's just happened. You need one person that believes in it so much that they make it happen. A bit like Steve Jobs and what he did with Apple, which was called Macintosh before, and like the iPhone. You need this one crazy person that is willing enough to like sacrifice everything to get to that point where his ideas become the norm, the mass. I mean, that thing, that is pretty intense. But exactly. I think we do owe it to him, right, Sai?
Yeah, because the idea was there always. There was always something going on with the electric cars. But a person like Elon Musk took it to the next level where it can become a reality for people. So I think you always need, like, just like you said, like a person or people that believe in it so much that they just go all in because they already see it. So just to take it there, you need that kind of like a driver and passion with a real like reality, realistic passion, I would say, to take it there and make it a reality.
Yeah, like a visionary person.
Yeah, a visionary that is not all up in like air. That has a real actual plan to make it happen. And that starts with one person. I'm sure it was just not him. He had a whole team and everything.
Yeah.
So it just requires that for anything new to come into existence.
And then, well, once you get your message out there, when you start to have this idea and it becomes more concrete, well, some people are going to support you. I mean, you're going to go to dinners, you're going to talk to people, you're going to share this YouTube podcast, and then, well, people will just like freak out, and then your ideas become something even more real, and some people want to invest in it, either in time, in money. Some people want to work with you because they believe in your project or they believe in your idea. So it was just maybe the right time for electric vehicles was right now. Now, we had this same conversation about hydrogen cars, and meaning that hydrogen cars have been, again, there for like a long time. They just haven't picked up. Maybe it's not right for all climates. Maybe it's not right for all countries, but maybe it's just not right. Maybe just the hydrogen car will never happen.
Maybe that's true, because maybe, or just like Elon Musk, someone would have a vision that we don't see right now for hydrogen cars and just come from outside and make it. Who knows? We can't see it. It doesn't make sense right now. But there might be an Elon Musk for the hydrogen cars, right? Like this comment says that the disruption always happens from the outside. That's true, because the legacy cars, like this person says, they would never go into, because it's already working for them.
It works. Yeah. Why would you spend more energy?
So it has to be something from the outside that comes in and disrupts the market with something super new.
makes so much sense. This is so philosophical, but at the same time, it's exactly what you want. That's how you get evolution. That's how we get new technologies, and that is how people, and I mean like the people out there, but they can just choose from themselves. But at one point, things happen like in in classes, in chemistry, in like these little science bubbles, and some futuristic ideas or some business ideas never leave like the garage. So you need for them to leave the garage if you want more people to adopt them and for more people to be in them with you. You need not just advertisement, but you need to talk about it. So if you have a crazy idea, make sure that you definitely talk about it to everybody you know. Because that will make it so that it's gonna happen. You will make it happen in that way. So Chemist America Lifestyle says, I never used the climate change argument in driving EV. I do it because of the savings. Yeah, you did say that. But at the same time, I mean, it does it. So it's kind of, it doesn't need to be on the forefront, but you still, it's an add-on. I mean, why not? You can literally leave your car running and not die in your garage. Like, this is a great selling point. So that is something that, okay, for you it's savings, and again, it's always going to be the money. If you don't have the money to purchase a vehicle or that kind of vehicle, it's not a choice. So you're not going to make money appear out of thin air because you want an EV. This is not a thing. But if you save money and you have this knowledge, then yes, your car is not polluting, it's not emitting any CO2 while you're driving. Well, it's really like it's an add-on. It's a great add-on. I like that, right? So I mean,
yeah,
who
I
could
think
not
so.
think about that?
Yeah, I know. Plus, I also feel like sometimes some people just don't like to say they care about the environment because they think it's not cool, and they'll be like viewed as these like
Crazy vegan people.
Crazy vegan people, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's cool to care about the environment. Like, we live here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for something, I'm not saying it's for, of course, for this person. I'm not saying that. But like, I've noticed that with some people, it's like that. They just don't want to admit it because they would be perceived as, you care about the environment? That's so uncool.
But at the same time, it's true. It's like you don't wash your room or something like that. You live there. I mean, you live there. Some people are like that, but in the general sense, you want to live in a place where it is clean, nice, and beautiful. And that's why we bring you EV entertainment every single day at 12 p.m. Vancouver time. Make sure you drop in. Also, while the podcast is conveniently named While You Wait, because while you wait for your electric vehicle to charge at a Tesla supercharger or any other superchargers out there, even maybe your home, you can listen to all of our podcasts on our YouTube channel, Two Girls, One Electric Car. Make sure you go there, you subscribe, turn on all of your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. There it is. Wow, see you tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see you later. We're never too far, don't worry.